And we're live. And I don't have the intro up. Greetings, guys, gals, and non binary pals. I'm Joe Fulgham. Welcome to Viral Transmissions, episode number 24, which we're calling The Sounds of Silencing. Joining me, as usual, is Dr. Rob Tarswell. We've got a lot to get through tonight, it seems. We had to mark a few of it with don't linger, because we want to linger on a lot of it. As usual.
Stuff tonight, folks.
As usual, Viral Transmissions is brought to you by the BC Humanist Association. You can learn more about them at bchumanist.ca. Let's get right into it.
Check it out.
We start off, as we have been for the last little while, with By the Numbers.
The numbers.
It's still
not
bad.
getting better, still bad, and getting worse.
Yeah. World infections total so far now is 25 million, with 844,000 deaths. The USA has reached the milestone of 6 million cases. Congratulations. 2% of your population has caught COVID-19.
And that was in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So 3 weeks from 5 million to 6 million.
Jeez.
So we are definitely in the
more than
exponential phase of the curve.
Than a million cases a month. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the more cases there are, the more infected people there are that can infect other people, right? That's how the math on infections works, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exponents, baby.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah.
It's that whole. I remember when they taught us about exponents in junior high or something like that, and they told us the story about the wise man who went to the emperor, and the emperor said, "Oh, I'll give you, whatever reward you want." And he said, "Oh, just give me a grain of rice on this day, and then the next day give me twice as many, and the next day give me twice as many as that, and so on and so on." And like the emperor was like, doubling grains of rice, what a fool. But then by the end of 30 days, he owned all the rice in the entire kingdom.
2 to the 64th power grains of rice.
Yeah, exactly. So the USA is now at over 180,000 deaths. They are pushing up towards that other milestone of half the deaths of World War II. And you've got here greater than 200,000 but for COVID deaths. What does that mean?
Yeah, so this is something we're going to be talking about a bit tonight in our disinformation section. But the idea is that individuals who have chronic illnesses of various kinds who would have been fine if they had not caught COVID. So we'll get into the details later, but the idea is that, individuals, we know that diabetes, for instance, is a risk factor for death with COVID. Significant levels of obesity are thought to be a risk factor as well. And but people can live happily and productively for years and decades if they simply have diabetes or simply have obesity.
Yeah.
For instance, among many other things. But for COVID, this person would still be among the living.
Yeah. I love the "but for" phrasing, and I first heard it and really appreciated it actually on Judge Judy.
Yeah, because it's a term out of law, I think.
Yeah.
I hear it in courts when I testify in courts, yeah.
Yeah, because Judge Judy would very often say to people, listen, I understand that but for your actions, they would have been fine. Therefore, you are responsible. Yeah.
So it's actually a test in law, the but-for test.
Yeah.
It sounds dirty, but it's not.
No, it's only one T in the butt, for sure.
Just one T in the butt.
Canada's up to 128,000 cases with 9,000 deaths. Also very, very bad. But again, I point out that Canada has 1/10 the population, which means 90,000 deaths if we had 10 times the population, which would be the USA's, and the USA has double that many deaths. That's just like, it feels like
there's nothing to write home about. I mean, we're doing better than the US, but we're certainly nowhere near Vietnam, South Korea, Hong Kong, Taiwan,
and it's
larger populations.
It's 100%. 100% because of, I think, a lot of our population just is not taking it as seriously as they should. They're just all over. We'll talk about them later in the show.
Yeah.
All right, on to news.
News. First piece, fascinating, brief little piece. Donald Trump wanted the Center for Disease Control, the CDC in the U.S., to push through slacker testing standards to basically reduce testing. So he wanted to push through a standard that involved not testing individuals who had no symptoms. And They waited until Dr. Fauci was under general anesthesia. He had surgery recently. He had a polyp on his voice cord. If you were wondering why his voice was sounding so hoarse in the last few weeks, he had talked himself hoarse and actually developed a polyp on his vocal cord, which is sort of like a blister on his vocal cord. So they waited until he was under general anesthesia and then quickly pushed through guidelines for weaker testing, but then walked them back a few days later after he got on the talk shows and was asked, so did this really happen while you were under general anesthesia? And in his Faucian way, yes, yes.
I've tweaked the microphones. Thank you, everybody. I did do an audio check before, but we're just looking at little bar graphs and stuff, so it's hard to tell because we can't hear ourselves.
Would you like me to dial my mic down?
No, I handled you just fine. It's totally.
Okay,
I have a slider for myself, and I have a slider for everything coming through my computer, which includes you.
Don't explain production to death. We got lots to cover.
So, how about the FDA issuing a EUA for remdesivir without sufficient evidence?
Right. So the FDA has become famous for things called EUAs or emergency use authorizations, and you may remember me from such EUAs as hydroxychloroquine, which was pulled back because there was not sufficient evidence to support hydroxychloroquine, and it is associated independently with death from abnormal cardiac arrhythmias. I guess the lesson here is don't take fish tank cleaner to treat a virus.
Yeah.
The second EUA was for plasma, or convalescent plasma, meaning plasma that's been spun and treated in certain ways from individuals who've had coronavirus because it contains antibodies thought to mop up the virus. That's been studied for months and months, and nobody has found a convincing use case for it because you have to get it into somebody before they're symptomatic. And well, before you're symptomatic, you don't know if you have the coronavirus or not. And you have to have it within about 3 days of infection for it to be any good at all.
Right.
So it has to be just an extraordinary circumstance of luck for you to get it.
Or you could be, say, a billionaire and just say, give it to me every couple days, just in case.
Sure, I guess you could do that. That's pretty bizarre, but you could.
Well,
you could practice full vampire medicine.
When you wonder why this would be pushed through, if it's so bad, by a super rich guy who only seems to do things for all his super rich guy friends. That's what it makes me think of. Oh, just yet another example of the rich living on the blood of the poor.
Yes, literally in this case.
Yeah.
Although there is, Tom Hanks was the first donor to provide serum for convalescent plasma because he caught the virus while he was in New Zealand. So
yeah, I remember that story. We were all very worried about him.
We were worried about him, but he sailed through. He did fine. As far as we know. I mean, we haven't heard anything.
It was rough. He did talk about it. He had a rough go of it, but he's fine now. Yeah. Okay. But he really did. He was not asymptomatic.
So the only thing that the EUA for convalescent plasma managed to accomplish is it's made it much harder to enroll people in trials to actually study this stuff. And it was already very hard to enroll people in trials because the material was very hard to get a hold of, because now anyone can say, well, can't you just give it to me under the emergency use authorization? So goodbye research studies. We're just going to have all kinds of people asking for it, for this stuff that only works if given to by day 3 of an asymptomatic infection. So now on to EUA number 3, which is remdesivir, which you'll remember is the extraordinarily difficult drug to make, made by Gilead in the US, that may reduce the length of hospitalization in severe cases. Now the EUA, of course, is going to mean everyone and their dog is going to be asking for remdesivir. I need the remdesivir, doc. I've got the corona. And this is well, good luck. There goes the supply of remdesivir for emergency cases. So we haven't seen yet exactly how this has turned out, but I think we've gone 0 for 2. I'm calling it. I'm predicting it now. The FDA is going to go 0 for 3 with this EUA. and will maintain its perfect batting average of 0.000.
Right. So we've talked a lot. I agree with you. I mean, the news does seem that it cuts your hospital stay down by maybe a couple days. It wasn't that like
Yeah, on average, maybe a day or two. One and a
which
half, I think, is the.
which if it costs $5,000 is less than your day of hospital stay in America, I guess. So
It's less in Canada. It's not less in America. It's definitely not less than a day in the ICU in America.
yeah, or it's definitely not less. No, the ICU would cost more, right?
Yeah.
So
So
remdesivir
it's not less.
no remdesivir
Or
costs
it is not
less.
less. Yes, the remdesivir would cost less.
Yes,
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. So
Yeah, okay.
so taking it would save you money in America, like because you
May-
don't
yeah,
have
yeah.
to stay in the hospital as long.
Right. Possibly.
Maybe.
Or you just have the remdesivir bill tacked on to the hospital bill.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and
They'll mark
there
it
are
up
going to be markups.
for
Oh,
sure.
baby, will they mark it up. If
Yeah.
you remember those Pentagon hammers from the 80s, markups in that range are pretty common.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have no doubt that all of this stuff is getting pushed through because several pharmaceutical people go to Mar-a-Lago and have convinced Trump that it would be in his best interests because it would be in their best interests if he would push their bullshit. Like,
Oh, this has Joe Pizza written all over
yeah,
it. I don't know. I mean, not that particular guy,
right.
although he's just a wonderful cultural touchstone. But there's some other, Johnny Cinnamon Bun
Or
right behind Joe Pizza.
or just all of these rich people in hearing about remdesivir, desperate for like a complete, like a not
Yeah.
even evil, desperate to be like, oh, this is the thing. Also, I'm rich. Let's invest in the thing. And then going,
Yeah.
well, it kind of works. So let's push it through so that we can sell lots of the thing I invested in. And so there you
Donald, give
go.
us the fish tank cleaner. Oh, that didn't work. Donald, give us the convalescent plasma. Donald, give us the remdesivir.
Ugh,
And Donald gives.
ischemia with the ambulance costs in America. It's I can't even like that. So again, sidebar on this. I don't understand how people don't take this medical emergency seriously in America, where it's gonna ruin you. To like, they're like, oh, it's just like the flu. I'm like, yeah, but it could be the flu where you have to go to the hospital and it'll cost you your entire house to go there. Like you're not up here in Canada going, it's the flu and they'll take care of me, and I won't even really get a bill for it. It's America. Having a bad flu that puts you in the hospital could end any savings that you have. So I'm even more stumped by people not taking this seriously.
Stumped.
Stumped. I don't get it.
Stumpage. Yep.
Denialism is a thing. I deny denialism, I think is what it is. Yeah, 1/6 of Ischemiel's yearly salary before taxes on that 1 minute ambulance ride.
Wow.
I've heard, yeah, and I've heard people are now just calling Ubers to get to hospitals because why take an ambulance?
Used to be taxis, now it's Ubers. Although
Yep.
probably still some taxis too.
So we have a sub theme in our news today because this is really a bunch of this news is clumped together. Why don't you tell us about this, Rob?
Sounds of silencing, right? So
Yeah.
we're seeing this really interesting phenomenon in the U.S., maybe in Canada, I don't know, but there's a few things going on. Employers in the U.S., we're hearing from employees that they've been directed to not mention
Mm.
whether there have been any coronavirus cases in their business, to in some cases continue to say that they're doing deep cleanings every night when it's very clear that they're not.
There's the link.
Essentially what we're talking about is gag rules, gag orders. And this is coming from some pretty high level companies like Target has allegedly been mentioned by this. Also some fairly progressive, apparently companies that I don't really know much about. One called REI, but there's all sorts of people on Twitter going, no, not REI or RET.
Amazon.com, Cargill, McDonald's, and Target workers at those companies said they were told to keep COVID cases quiet.
Yeah, which is like, wow. And now gag rules are happening at American universities. So American universities began opening last week and almost immediately closing because what do 18-year-olds do who are free for the first time, especially after having been quarantined for the last 6 months? They party. And this entirely unpredictable event has led to bursts in coronavirus outbreaks, and a lot of universities have had to immediately shutter their operations, to the point now where there are some American universities that are having more daily cases than Canada. Yes, that's right. The nation of Canada is having fewer cases than, which university was it?
University of Alabama. Over 1,000 students have tested positive for COVID-19 at the University of Alabama since classes returned less than 2 weeks ago.
Wow.
Which means those 1,000 have already infected a bunch of others that currently don't register as infected but will very soon. The virus is in their bodies and is growing.
Yep. We haven't heard from them yet.
1,201 cases.
And in Iowa, the university campuses at Ames and Iowa State, quote, COVID outbreaks are worst in the world, close quote. Let me find that juicy article for you. Yeah. Oh, and of course I've grabbed the wrong link because I prepared the research document tonight and I hate myself.
Oh, that's the link is the threatening letter. Well,
I got the link to the University of Alabama.
Okay, numbers for you? Illinois State University, we've got numbers on that. The officials reported 234 more students tested positive for COVID-19. So far, that's 642. What really blows me away, we've got the tweet for that, which the link does work, that shows it's a 22.7% positivity rating. So of the students
so they're not testing nearly enough people. Yeah.
Of the students they
1 in 4.
Yeah, almost 1 in 4 have COVID-19.
So they're not doing nearly enough testing. If you want to capture COVID, you need your testing positivity rate to be below about 5% to make sure you're casting your net wide enough to catch cases. So there are all kinds of cases that are not getting captured in these numbers that are already enormous.
That 642, that is total results in the last 7 days. So
good times.
So it's just... And again, I really want to reinforce this to people, like that 2-week growing time. These students just showed up. They were like, time to go back to university. They showed up, they partied a bit, and a bunch of them are now infected. There's so many more now that are infected that we don't know about, that were at those parties. Right. And they're all, a bunch of them are probably all walking around infecting other people as well as soon as they become infectious. It's just them, again, exponents. It just happens. It grows like that. We're going to see...
a bunch more universities are slated to open next week.
We're going to see the American numbers are just going to skyrocket in the next month. That's my feeling.
It seems possible.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
So we've got that, and the gagging is the problem.
Well, yeah. So in U.S. universities, what a lot of administration is claiming is it is a HIPAA violation to talk about whether or not there have been any exposures in your class. So university professors are being told, you can't tell your classes if anyone has tested positive because it's a HIPAA violation. So for those who don't know, HIPAA is legislation in the U.S. that basically covers the privacy of health information, and it binds healthcare providing entities. So clinics, by and large, clinics and hospitals have to not publish any kind of health information which could be linked to somebody. So any information that gets published has to be non-identifying. Yeah. So a lot of university administrations have decided that they're going to try and run under the cover of HIPAA so that a professor can't say to their class of 400 calculus first-year students that there's been a coronavirus exposure. Yeah, you can't talk about that. That's a HIPAA violation. Yes.
Yeah.
That's what we're calling that.
HIPAA is the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996, signed by President Bill Clinton back then. And I asked about this. I was like, okay, so are they worried about getting like they'll spread? I totally understand that. Like, say a teacher says, okay, we this class has had 2 COVID infections, and it turns out that there's 2 students who aren't in that class anymore. So everybody could then go, oh, it was those 2, and that violates HIPAA. And so maybe the university is worried that they're going to get sued for that sharing of private information under HIPAA. And Rob pointed out, they're not covered by HIPAA. They're not a healthcare provider, right?
They might have a clinic, and that clinic is covered by HIPAA,
right?
But the university itself isn't. But so now here's some interesting things that are coming up in the chat already. So NOWU. So now they close the universities and send all those students back home to infect their families? Maybe. Skemmy Lover 69. A bunch of students at my uni are lying about symptoms because they didn't want the school to kick them out. Wow. Okay. So, I can kind of get that. Ooh. I guess. What do you do? What do you do if you're sitting in the class? In that case, I guess wear a Tyvek suit with an N95 mask. Oh no, there are no easy answers here. Ischemial points out, what? That's not a HIPAA violation at all, unless a school is also a doctor.
Yeah.
Plus, it's not a medical body.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But welcome to life in the big, increasingly United States of America.
I think if I was going to university right now, I would invest in a spacesuit. I'm like, I know it's funny, maybe it wouldn't be a spacesuit, but I would invest in an enclosed suit to go to classes. Right. Like with just some kind of helmet and it's modern technology these days, so I could very easily have a little microphone and a speaker and I could hear and all that stuff. So, or maybe, I don't know, full face mask, like full on face mask with like. I'm sorry, did you say the second derivative? Yeah, exactly. I'd be the Darth Vader of campus, just sitting in the corner.
Don't get addicted to water.
I find your lack of face covering disturbing.
Oh, very good. Yeah, so good combination there. Explosive case numbers and gag orders. That always ends well. And interestingly enough, it might be worth changing the order of things a little bit and talking about Sturgis, which is our last, because that kind of fits in with exploding cases America. So I think we're going to go out on a bit of a limb here and say America might be due a significant acceleration of its pandemic. So I don't know much about the Sturgis rally. I know it's this big piss up in South Dakota every year for bikers.
Sorry. So I've got it streaming. Let me get that up top.
People showed up this year. It's often up to 250,000, and it's a great big festival of bands whose last hit was in the 80s. Bad Shirts, Watertown Beer, and We're Bikers, We're Great. So we found a live data map tracking where all the people came from who went to Sturgis and where they all went back to after the rally was over.
This is all information I'm guessing they've gleaned from smartphones. I know that my smartphone keeps track of me because I don't really care if anybody knows how often I go to the store. This is wild. Here we go. I don't think the music matters. Maybe
to get a closer view
of
the
here we
real impact Sturgis may have had, we visualized anonymized location data records from a sampling of devices that were active at Sturgis during opening weekend and looked at where those devices were located throughout a sliding 3-hour window leading up to, during, and after the event. This granular view allows us to see in near real time what migration patterns look like from across the country. The ability to explore living data like this unlocks enormous potential across industries. Public health officials across the country can make smarter, safer decisions. City planners can better understand how populations actually move. And businesses can finally see the true economic impact these types of events have, both locally and in surrounding communities.
This is such a sales pitch for this Big Brother tech. Tectonics, we're watching you move. Like,
It's horrifying. Wow, all those snakes
yeah.
converge South Dakota and then just explode back out everywhere in America. So if there were, and who knows, right? Because you're going to leave before it's symptomatic. So we're going to see what's happening. So two things to watch: what's happening in South Dakota in terms of the numbers. And I haven't found confirmation of this yet, but there are folks on Twitter going, "Oh wow, cases are taking off in South Dakota." I haven't seen independent confirmation of that. And then it's just going to be, well, wait and see what happens in the rest of the country as everybody goes back home.
Yeah.
So that, together with the universities, and we're heading into September. And if, just as a reminder, this is the time when usual colds and flus start to ramp up. So all those viruses that go away every summer, they come roaring back, and we're going to start seeing everybody everywhere with sore throats and the sniffles and sneezing and coughing. And we're not going to know who's got what. It's going to put a huge stress on testing ability.
Yeah. I have a hope. I have a hope that this year that's going to be lessened, because as much as we've got all these deniers and we've got all these people who go to Sturgis, I have friends who are bikers. My friend Rhea, she's a welder. She actually welds the sissy bars, which is the big bar that sticks up on the back of your bike, so the person on the back can lean against it and not fall off. She welds custom ones of those. She loves Sturgis. She's a total biker chick. She didn't go, and she spent her time on social media mocking all the assholes who went. She was like, "Are you guys out of your like?" So we can't diss all bikers. Bikers are cool people. Generally, I like them, but the people who went to Sturgis were just absolutely fooling themselves. But about flu and cold season, I feel like so many of us are wearing masks and still practicing social distancing and stuff. It's going to take a big chunk out of the ability for that to spread.
I hope so. And that's an interesting idea. And we do know that when people went into serious social distancing back in March, and we were still all scared of this thing, that the flu season just fell off a cliff. It didn't tail off like it usually does. It just stopped. So let's hope that the slightly increased penetration of masks that we've seen helps that somewhat. That remains to be seen. We do know that coronavirus is going to have some competition now.
I like this link that Fred sent me. Sorry. Let me just share this.
You're such a doxer, Joe the doxer.
I know. I'm terrible. I'm sorry. There we go. The Air by Microclimate. Microclimate.com. Check that out. It's real. Look at it. Ventilation. No seal on the mouth. Filtration. Air travels through fabric on inlet and exhaust sides. Because my first thought was, well, if it's going out here, it's coming out anyway. But as long as I got the fabric there, I'm kind of fine with it. It really does just look like, some plexiglass and then fabric has been put around it. But that's fine. $200. I can't afford it, but still, if I was going to school, at the very least, I would make something like this for myself.
It looks like something off of Black Mirror.
It does. I used to play paintball back in my 20s. I used to play paintball a lot. Me and my buddies would go all the time. And when you play paintball, you have to wear your face mask, right? At the very least, you got to wear goggles covering this. But I had a face mask that would wrap around my face and had goggles built into it. But often those goggles would get fogged up. So I actually modded mine to put a little fan on top, and I had a little 9-volt battery and a switch, so I could just go click and the fan would go and just push the air out, and it would suck air in here and nothing would ever get fogged up. So doing your own little, did you hear that? That's weird. Doing your own little hack jobs on this, it's fine. I'm okay with that. Anyway.
So what you're saying is you were a harsh nerd.
I've always been a harsh nerd, but back then I actually could build stuff. Nowadays, it's all computer junk that I do. I don't know.
Soft build.
I soft build is what I do. Yeah, even just now I'm feeling bad about not accomplishing stuff. Damn it.
I don't build stuff either, for what it's worth, Joe. Anti-mask physical violence in Korea. So it's not just America.
We got another one to watch. This one's great. Let me just pause this and get it full screened and back it up. Here.
So the backstory is there was a fellow on a train in Korea who wasn't wearing a mask. And I believe either people were moving away from him or asking him to wear a mask, leading to this reaction.
Why is this not working? Hold on. My pop-up for everybody's getting to see. For some reason,
Leading
I can't
to this reaction.
share screen. Share screen. Share. Damn it, Rob. I'm gonna disconnect from this because turn it off and on again. I'm sorry, everybody. There's my desktop background. That's what you're seeing there. Oh, and now I can see. Now share screen is popping up a million times. Yeah, it's all there. Hold on. I'm joining the call.
Oh, baby, my darling.
Nobody can see you while that's going on. That's the problem. Okay, hold on. Share screen. All right, now it's popping up. Rob, can you hear me? Is everything fine? Okay, good. Share screen. Now I can't see my screen.
Light it up, Joe. Light it up.
I'm hitting buttons and it doesn't want to work.
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'll just give everybody the link. Hold on.
We're gonna give you descriptive video without the video.
I'm gonna let's here's
It's a fight on a train.
it's a yeah. You can
And a
hear
very
the
peculiar fight, especially when the shoes come off.
So, one Korean guy, a little on the older side, without a mask, wearing shorts and a button-up shirt, takes off his sandal and just starts smacking somebody wearing a mask, and then moves on from him to somebody else wearing a mask. And I don't speak Korean, so I don't know what he's saying, but it's probably along the lines of "you sheeple" or something.
Yeah.
Being a dumbass.
Sorry we didn't have that one for you, folks. Don't worry, we've got some even better video we won't be able to show you.
Probably, yeah.
Broadcast.
I don't know what's going on. This tech stuff is weird. I'm gonna leave this up to see if it will ever
work.
So I'm getting little blue circles when it's asking me what do you want to share. So I can't actually select the thing to share. Let's move on. Okay, I've got it. It will work.
Here we go.
I will show that video.
Oh, okay.
Let's show that video now. I'm sorry.
Let's test fate one more time.
I know, right?
Keep touching the front of the hot oven door.
Oh, God damn it.
This time, it wouldn't hurt me. It gives me cookies. Why would it hurt
Except-
me?
Yeah, that's right. We were worried the show was going to go long because of all the content we had. It's going long because none of the tech is working. And now it's not working again.
All right. So,
okay.
next story.
Yeah.
On the positive side, WestJet, as of September 1st, so 2 days from now, that's a Canadian airline for those who don't, will remove and ban unmasked passengers for 1 year, starting September 1st. So we're not going to be seeing any more of these lovely shouting matches in the aisles of airplanes. We're just going to see, I guess nothing at all. Folks being removed and banned by the airline.
The
for a
shouting
year,
will be in the
which,
boarding
if you are a
line.
business traveler, pardon me?
The shouting will be in the boarding line.
The shouting will be in the boarding line. That's
as they
right.
try to get on.
Yeah. Although I'm sure there are people who think they're being very crafty and clever, like certain excommunicated Navy SEALs who will wear the mask until they sit down and the flight attendant is behind them. Then they'll take the mask off and tweet the picture to look like a real hero, a real American hero, or a real Canadian hero in this case.
Yeah, you're in a tiny little tube with recirculated air. Like, I'm going to guess airplanes have decent filtration or are supposed to.
Well, interestingly, airplanes actually have some of the highest levels of recirculation. They can recirculate cabin air every 5 minutes. So 12 times an hour.
But
because
have they got like
great big turbofans?
Have they got HEPA filters going though? Like what's the filtration?
I don't know.
Like?
Yeah, filtration I don't know, but the air is coming in outside, right? Compressed air from the outside, circulated through the cabin, and then vented somewhere somehow. Although clearly, if you look at the BC Center for Disease Control site, there's a list of airplane exposures, and that's something that gets talked about very frequently in the daily briefings. And individuals who have flown are asked to check the BC CDC flight exposure list to make sure that their flight didn't have exposure events on it, just in case they can't get a hold of you
Okay.
after you were on the flight. Good times. Where were we? Oh, hey, we're on to science. Good
Science.
stuff here. Now we're getting into the facts here, kids. The facts. So one interesting story that came out is, are PCR tests too sensitive, and are they capturing individuals who are no longer infectious? So the PCR is the polymerase chain reaction, and what that is chemical targets get sent into a vial where there are little fragments of RNA, and the fragments would be too dilute in a solution to detect.
Uh-oh.
Those little RNA fragments
Oh.
and multiply them until they get to a level where they're detectable. And this is done in cycles. So currently, labs have been using a 37 to 40 repetition cycle to detect coronavirus RNA fragments. And the thought is that that is so sensitive that you're detecting even just the tiniest fragments of RNA long after the infection is gone. There's a thought then that somebody who's positive, we have no idea whether they're still infectious or whether they cleared the infection days, possibly weeks ago. But because the sensitivity is cranked up so high, it's going to capture these fragments. So one thought is that we maybe need to dial down the number of cycles to about 30 to try and make sure we're only capturing individuals who are still actively infectious, because that's really who we're interested in. We want to know, okay, who do we need to advise to isolate themselves, and who do we need to contact trace from? We don't need to contact trace people who were positive 3 weeks ago. We need to isolate and contact trace people who are infectious now. And the PCR tool may have been too sensitive at that. And so all sorts of extra people maybe are being identified and told to go into isolation who didn't necessarily need it.
Right.
That's the story there.
Okay.
But like science, it's like, we got new information. Okay, modify what we're doing and carry on. Yes, even 6 long months into this.
Whoop. Sorry.
Yeah, lots of...
we lost you after 6 long months.
Oh, yeah, after 6 long months, we still don't know everything about the coronavirus.
Yeah. And
believe it or not.
After 6 months of doing the show, I now can't screen share. I'm trying to get this next video up. Damn it. Like, it's just sitting there. We're giving you a link. I'm sorry. We got to give you a link instead of actually streaming the video at you. Our next
Which
story.
video are we going to stream?
The
coughing video.
Coughing video. It's really good. I really wish I could get it shared at you, but our software is being problematic. But it's great. It's a guy coughing, open mouth first. He's over a tray of liquid nitrogen, and then he coughs with an N95 mask, and then he puts on one of those face shields, which we had people asking how effective are those, and then he tries a surgical mask. And the face shield was pretty much useless. Whoop, still there, Rob?
Yep.
So the face shield is pretty much useless. And I've had a few friends talk about this. We've had a few people talk about how they went out to a restaurant and their server had one of those little, not even a full face shield, but just one of those little see-through things in front of their mouth like this.
Oh, those are useless and terrible.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. That is somebody trying to make money selling some cheap masks with some some stuff left over they had. A company
that is health theater.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
bad health theater. It's like grade 8 drama class.
Yeah. Sorry we can't be sharing these videos to you. Technical difficulties. Then on to our next science article from the WHO. Children might play a bigger role in COVID transmission than first thought.
Oh, really?
Not by me. When we're doing our pre-show talk about this, I was like, Are you kidding me? like, like, like we've known that. So the big talk has been it doesn't seem to affect children as much. And I totally get that. It doesn't seem to. I mean, some might be getting some long-term problems. We're definitely seeing other stuff like that. But I'm totally willing to buy that, I think by now we would go, oh, oops, we were wrong. A whole bunch of children have been horribly harmed by this. But I absolutely buy into that they become asymptomatic carriers and then just run around spreading it to everybody else. Because children are terrible.
Terrible,
at
filthy urchins.
Yeah, filthy. You're right, filthy urchins.
This is a very humanistic perspective on children.
Fred agrees.
Shout out to our sponsors. Yeah,
I know that Noah agrees with me. Children are filthy urchins. Well, they haven't
wow,
learned
now
it.
we're dragging the audience in shenanigans now, eh?
Right. It's not their fault, right? It's not their fault. They still have to learn all of this stuff. They have to learn. They don't have any actual rights because they barely have any responsibility. Like the responsibility for those kids acting properly is their parents, and their parents can't police them to the level that you need to for COVID. Like,
right.
The stories I'm seeing is their parents are sending their kids to class with masks, and the kids are coming back with different masks because they traded them with their friends.
Ah!
Which,
kids, don't do that.
well, you know what I'm going to say? In the same way I would say you probably shouldn't smoke pot, but if you're going to, don't smoke very little. If you're going to trade your mask, wash it in soap and water first. How's that? We know that soap kills COVID. So, wash the crap out of your mask if it's a cloth one, and then you can share it with somebody else. But that's not what they're doing. They're just totally...
Mask harm reduction with Joe.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's what I do every day. Every time I come home from the grocery store, I basically put my stuff down, walk right into the bathroom, take off my mask, wash my hands and my mask together in a whole bunch of soap and water, and gets all cleaned up, and hang my mask up to dry right here on my microphone stand.
All set for the next outing.
I am totally set. What
So,
else we got for science, Rob?
Last science, well, we now have 4 confirmed reinfections in the world. And the way we confirm it is because we knew what RNA type you had in your first infection, and then we detected different RNA type, some subtle changes in the RNA in the second infection. So we know, you've had the coronavirus twice. 3 of the 4 cases, people have been asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic, probably picked up in contact tracing from other cases. And 1 case in Nevada, an individual had a much worse outbreak or disease process than they did the first time. So the story here is we really, really, really need a vaccine.
Yeah. So this to me puts, I think I've mentioned this before. I think we talked about a reinfection before, but it really puts a bullet in the strategy of we'll just let everybody get it. They'll get herd immunity and then we'll be fine. Because your immunity seems to only be specifically for that strain. And then another strain comes along and your immune system goes, I don't know what that is. And then it wreaks havoc on your body again. Or with the other 3 out of the 4, it goes, I think I know what this is, but I'm not that good at fighting it. And so you get a mild version, maybe is what's going on. Whereas if I recall from our earlier episodes, we were talking about the vaccine hopes and stuff like that and how the vaccines were targeted. The vaccines will not care about these minor genetic differences in how the virus itself plays out. Because if I understand, the vaccines are... all right, folks, hold on one sec. Discord just randomly restarted on me. There we go. Discord randomly restarted, Rob. It just closed and maybe they found out that I couldn't share stuff. Watch, I'll be able to hit share screen and it'll work. Let's see if we can.
There we go.
I'll do that.
But yes, the idea is when vaccines are designed, they're designed to prevent you from getting infected in the first place.
Right.
So they are primary prevention, not secondary.
So we're going to get herd immunity by everybody getting vaccinated, not by everybody catching one of these strains of COVID.
Right. Yeah. Herd immunity through infection. That's the nice way of saying you failed to control your outbreak.
Yeah. Somebody alert Sweden. I haven't
Sweden.
looked them up. Have they changed their strategy, or are they still plowing through?
No.
Maybe we'll look at that next week.
Yeah, and what's fascinating is that their economy took just as much of a beating as all the other Nordic countries.
Yeah.
And but with way more death, carnage, and disability.
No, zero reinfections would be better, but isn't 4 a really low number after all the cases we've had?
It is low, but we have no idea. These are the 4 confirmed reinfections, and to meet that bar, we have to find a different RNA type, right? Because otherwise, we don't know if it's a kind of a waxing, waning thing. And then there's also, and 3 of these folks were asymptomatic. They were just tested incidentally as part of new outbreaks. So we have no idea how much reinfection is actually going on.
And also, something like 80% of people are asymptomatic. There could be thousands of people who caught it once, were asymptomatic, and then caught it again and were asymptomatic, and we'll never know because maybe they never even ever got tested once.
Yep. All the COVID Carlas.
Yeah, right.
Just walking around, completely unknown, just spreading it. That's why y'all wear a mask.
And it also probably has to do.
Distance.
I remember when we talked about the reinfection before, these strains tend to be geographically distributed, right? So we've got the North American strain, we've kind of got the European strain, that's the strain that's going around Europe a lot. And so if you don't end up interacting with those different strains, you're not going to get it. But as time goes on, they're going to have more access. Each of those individual strains is going to get more and more access to the different geographic locations. And so they're going to do that math again, where they're going to infect 2 friends, and then they're going to infect 2 friends, and so on and so on and so on.
Right.
I mean, maybe it starts low in the same way that COVID-19 started low back in December. And now it's millions. What have we got for denialists of the week? Oh, we've got some homegrowners.
Wait, disinformation and scams.
I've totally jumped. You're
Don't
right.
jump ahead.
Oh, this is the important part right here. Yes, disinformation and scams.
So, the big story, the big disinformation story that's being pumped hard from certain corners of the internet, which seems to be sort of a combination of right-wing media disinformation, and increasingly QAnon seems to be getting more involved in the pumping of disinformation around the coronavirus, is a story that the CDC quietly edited a web page to say that only 6% of people have actually died of the coronavirus in all the deaths that have been listed and causes in the death certificate, and therefore the actual number of coronavirus deaths is 10,000. It's not 200,000, and the MSM won't tell you that. All kinds of problems with this, but of course, because it's disinformation and it was very cleverly packaged, it takes a while to unpack this. So the first thing is you have to understand how a death certificate works. And death certificates typically talk about 3 things. 1, they talk about the direct cause of death. And that's the thing that literally killed you in the seconds to minutes when you died. So say you got coronavirus, and the coronavirus led to viral pneumonia, and then the viral pneumonia led to respiratory failure, and you died. The direct cause of death would be listed as respiratory failure. And the underlying cause of death would be listed as COVID-19. And then a contributing cause of death would be listed as viral pneumonia. And typically on a death certificate, you list one underlying cause, right? And then you list the direct cause, and then you list all the contributing causes. And so contributing causes would be things like, well, maybe you had cancer at the same time, or you had heart disease, diabetes, obesity. So, because death is kind of a complex, multifactorial process, and it's very unusual that just one thing is the thing that killed you. At the very end, yes, there's that one final straw that breaks the camel's back, but there's also that great big bundle of straw already sitting up there that is pushing things to the limit.
So it's like if I pushed you off a tall building and argued, I didn't kill you, Rob. It was you hitting the ground really fast that killed you.
Yes. So the direct cause of death in that case would be
Blunt force trauma?
blunt force trauma.
Yeah.
The underlying cause of death would be significant acceleration from a long fall, right? Because falling doesn't kill you,
Right. Nope.
And on the death certificate, the contributing cause would be homicide and slaughter. You could try that, defense and work in court. You can say, well, look at the death certificate. The direct cause of death was the blunt force trauma.
Yeah, and then Judge Judy gets to say
significant acceleration.
Judge Judy gets to say but for
the push off the tower.
Mm-hmm. And that's what COVID is, right? Even in all these other
COVID is in many cases the but for, yeah.
Yeah.
So when we say only 6%, that is what we're saying is only 6% of cases could you say the direct cause of death was COVID-19.
Right.
What they're not saying is that, oh, well, in the other 94% of death certificates, which also list COVID-19, it was a really, really fucking important cause.
Right.
That's a medical term, folks, that I use there. Don't. This is scholarly language. This is a really important, serious. So yeah, in 6% of cases, maybe the direct cause is listed as COVID-19, but 94% of the time, it's either the underlying cause or it's a significant contributing.
Mm-hmm.
And essentially, you have to make a judgment call. There's no time to autopsy 190,000 people when you're literally putting them in cardboard coffins and burying them in mass graves. To autopsy every single person and determine what weighed in and what was, greater weight in terms of the cause of death and so forth, because that's typically just not needed. So when someone tells you that 6% of deaths only were caused by COVID, what they don't know that they mean is 6% were directly caused by COVID. But in 94% of cases, COVID-19 was either the underlying cause or a contributing cause.
Yeah.
But for COVID as that contributing cause, these people would still be alive. They would still be walking the earth.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is that if you compare excess deaths, meaning deaths more than expected, compared to, say, this time last year, go as far back as you want, the world is running way ahead in terms of excess death compared to death that we expected. And as we talked about last week, already, even though it's only been in the US for 6 months, and this is kind of where we have the best data, it's running number 3 as annualized causes of death without even having to annualize the coronavirus numbers.
Yeah.
Right? It's running right behind heart attacks and cancer. Coronavirus, number 3. It's ahead of accidents. It's ahead of all sorts of things that we know cause lots and lots and lots of death. And it is not slowing down. Still 1,000 people a day in the US dying, 4,000 to 5,000 dying a day around the world.
Yeah, and it's not going to slow down because the rate of it spreading has to do with how many people have it. And when more people have it, well, there's other factors, of course. We will hit a point where enough people will have had it that they can't get at least that same strain again, right? That's the herd immunity, so it'll slow down a bit. But still, we're only at, I think, 2%. We said at the beginning of this, 2% of America, right? So your chance of potentially infecting somebody and them having already have it and being immune because of that is still very low. So you're still
very
generally,
low,
if you're infectious, going to be out there just spreading it to all these other people if you don't wear a mask.
And if we look at the global scene with 6 million infections in a global population of now somewhere between 7 and 8 billion, we're not even up to 1 in 1,000. So this thing is still spreading at R0, right? Because it's not running into any forms of resistance out there in terms of herd immunity when only 1 in 1,500 people globally have had it. There's just still so much fresh meat for it to spread to.
Yeah, as Noah says, 2 9/11 death tolls a week after week.
Right.
Or like I was saying for America, 250 Benghazis a day.
250 Benghazis.
Because
a day.
I will never forgive them for not shutting up about Benghazi after I found out it was 4 deaths. Like,
yeah. You're doing a heck of a job, Trumpy.
250 a day, more than 10 an hour, every hour.
Right. One every 8 minutes.
But yeah. Damn. No, it's faster than that. More than 10 an hour, so more than 1 every 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Yeah.
Damn.
So that's the story on the 6%.
Yeah. Hot damn. So there we go.
And now we're on a Q watch list somewhere.
We don't have enough time to.
Now
we don't have enough time to cover QAnon, but what a mess that thing is.
Yeah. Okay. Now it's time for everyone's favorite segment, and certainly mine, Denialist of the Week.
Yeah.
I hope we can run some video now that.
Let's see. Well, you talk about
Discord
the
is
Vancouver
restarting.
is awesome, and I will try to queue up the next one.
Right. So, is there a way to share that image? So there was a protest here in Vancouver at SkyTrain station from a group called Hugs Over Masks. We're going to start with the friendly denialists this week. So this group was carrying signs saying freedom is essential. And, there we go. Facts over fear, hugs over masks. And they were offering free hugs, free unmasked hugs to anybody who wanted one. No, thank you, sir. No, thank you, ma'am. And there they are, looking very friendly.
And that's the SkyTrain station right by my house. When it says demonstrators gathered outside of Metrotown SkyTrain station, that is a 5-minute walk from me. Metrotown is where I shop. It's one of the biggest malls in Canada. I think the 3rd biggest now, but yeah.
It's a monster. It's got to be up there.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So
that's our friendly denial.
Yeah.
Denialist of the week. Hugs over masks. Coming soon to a metro station near you.
And then, this is not the right. Oh, here it is. No, I do have the right video. All right. Let me pause him. And
White House economic advisor.
Yeah.
Larry Kudlow had this to say in an interview segment earlier this week.
Let's get that going. There we go.
Everyone was better off. A rising tide lifted all boats. Then came a once-in-100-year pandemic. It was awful. Health and economic impacts were tragic. Hardship and heartbreak were everywhere. But presidential leadership came swiftly and effectively with an extraordinary rescue for health and safety to successfully fight the COVID virus. A great bipartisan rescue also saved the economy. Right now, our economic health is coming back. With emergency spending and tax cuts, Americans are going back to work. There's a housing boom, there's an auto boom, a manufacturing boom, a consumer spending boom. Stocks are in record territory.
That's true.
A V-shaped recovery is pointing to better than 20% growth in the second half of this year.
Canada's is 36%.
Everyone was better off.
Yours is 20%. Canada's is 36%, buddy. You dipshit. So he's totally right about stocks. Oh, you're muted there, Rob, I think. Hold on. Oh, no, I can hear you. Good.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So good news, folks. It was awful, but it's over.
He's
right over now.
He's right about stocks. Even as people were being evicted and losing all their jobs and couldn't get anything done, and all the regular people's lives were upended and they were totally effed in the A. Investors were doing great. Investors were doing fantastic. The stock market was just doing a total run.
Corporations got massive emergency loans and did stock buybacks, yo.
Yeah. So that's the one thing he said that was true, and it was about rich people still doing fine.
Rich people are still rich in America. New film at 11. Yeah. So that was sort of the neutral. Clearly it didn't have the super happy hugs over masks kind of valence, but it was upbeat, more neutral. It had the kind of, if you're rich, you're going to be okay kind of valence to it. But now we turn into, as we inevitably, that dark corner. And this next one from Australia, someone I'd never heard of before, reality cooking star, Thanos Panayiotis. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Panayiotis. My apologies for mispronunciation.
You're probably right with the second one, Panayiotis. That sounds.
Panayiotis. Yeah, we're here to we're here to mock you for your actions, not your identity.
No. Looks Greek to me. The name. Yeah.
And this fellow certainly had some interesting things to say about.
Stand up and be there. They ruined our businesses. They've treated us like animals. They're kicking in doors without warrants and taking people away. They're raiding people's houses. They're lying on death certificates. They're using palliative care numbers for people that are dying of COVID. The most unethical, immoral thing I've ever heard of in my life. These guys are destroying our way of life, do you understand? And people don't give a fuck. They're so hell-bent on everything's going to be fine if we just listen, if we just pay attention. And to that piece of shit, fat fuck of a police commissioner, the guy who looks like he's had about 55 fucking donuts before he got on stage,
nice.
saying what we're doing is utterly selfish. No, you piece of shit, you cocksucker. What you're doing is utterly selfish.
Slurs.
Knowing how COVID isn't that dangerous, knowing the fucking numbers are being fudged, knowing they're fucking lying, knowing what they're doing in the government, and you still support it, you Nazi-fied motherfucker, you fat fuck of a police commissioner.
So he knows about Nazis, but that's the most immoral, unethical thing he's ever heard of?
You fucking piece of shit. Call yourself a person for the people. You're an animal, mate. I don't know how you people sleep at night. But you know what? Karma will come. And understand that God will protect those that need protecting. Right? And all of you people that perpetuated the lie and allowed this to continue to all those businesses being ruined, understand and remember the Nuremberg trials, mate. You remember when those people hung in the street. You remember that. Because they were just following orders as well.
So he does know about Nazis.
Everything the government has been doing for the last 8 months has been fucking disgusting. Hasn't been in the interest of public safety and definitely hasn't been in the interest of the public.
What's it been in the interest of then, buddy?
It's been in the interest of furthering that Luciferian satanic agenda, which has God as my witness, mate. As God as my witness,
yeah,
I will be that day.
But what agenda?
As God as my witness, I will be there that day.
Back up. What's the agenda?
The Luciferian satanic agenda, Joe.
It's the What is the Luciferian? But the agenda to do what? Make it so restaurants all close?
Oh, you know, Bill Gates, one world injection tracking chip, pizzeria, pedophilia, baby eating, adrenochrome agenda.
I honestly thought he was going to say something. I thought that we would be able to watch him say, "Oh, this is their plan that they want to." So, is that guy our denialist of the week, Rob?
Well, he gets extra points for those bulging neck veins. That was really outstanding.
I don't want a neck vein shame.
Yeah, but I can't quite give him top honors because I think our next fellow, shows rage level master.
Yeah.
In addition to some really interesting costuming choices.
I'm gonna full screen this guy because it's vertical video and
Walmart
we need to see this. Here we go.
Get back on your highway to hell and get out of a godly man's face.
Oh, a godly man's face.
Godly man.
No, I will. By your very blind ignorance, you don't have the ability to even come up with your own fucking ideas. I will leave when I see.
I like that he admits that he just came up with his own ideas by accusing others of not doing that. Also,
I like his orange gloves.
Also, Mr. T has really, really, really gone down a bad path here. What is up with his necklaces? Anyway.
You've not established authority to tell me to leave. You go get management.
Yeah, they have. It's private property. Get the fuck off.
You want to tell you find management that I can no longer.
Yeah.
You have four management here. You want to speak to the store? Are you exercising your right as a private company to take away my rights?
Jesus
You
Christ.
say you can refuse service. Are you refusing my service?
Yes.
Why don't you say we refuse your service? No. I choose to yell, and you cannot stop me!
Bye.
Please return to your service of Satan in your ignorant belief that you are right.
That's cool, bye.
Please, in the future, respect my rights. No one else's. You will never.
No one else's.
fucking get my sick.
Oh, he said the quiet part out loud, Rob. Please
Yeah,
respect my rights. No one
No one
else's.
Put space.
Trumpism in one
And then
sentence.
think I'm not going to tell you. I will tell you you're wrong.
Oh, I know.
Stop me.
I know.
Do you want to
And
stop?
another
Don't
thing.
touch her.
Are you
Don't touch her.
And another thing.
Bring their police.
That woman is rad.
You will not. I will.
I got you on video, so why don't you just go ahead and leave?
I have the right to life, liberty,
Yep.
and the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
My happiness
And orange pants.
by standing in your face.
I'm not going to clothing shame.
And wrong. You have no authority over me.
Quit spitting all over people.
Huh?
Quit spitting all over people.
You need my ID?
No, I don't. I need
You're
you
trying to
get-
fucking make witness that I'm wrong.
No, if you touch me,
Yeah.
I have proof.
No, you threatened to hit me. I all have proof. Not me, them.
Because you're trying to fight everybody in the goddamn store.
Now fight involves contact, doesn't it?
Yeah, and you're about in my fucking contact, bro.
You got-
You're about in my contact.
And when you got in my face and threatened to hit me, you were this close, bitch.
Because
you
keep
stepped
spitting
up.
Oh.
So that, just goes on and on and on. I'm sure there's a full length of that somewhere, but
Yeah.
yeah.
He
But he sure loves his. I believe that was the Tennessee Titans. That's why he was in the orange gloves
Okay.
with the Titans, that Rams head, and then I got that right. I don't know American college football teams. Someone from America help me out. What team was that? Was that NCAA or was that
Oh God, I don't know.
NFL? I don't think it was an NFL team.
It also
Anyway,
didn't
doesn't
fit
matter.
him. It totally didn't fit him. I feel like he probably got it at like a secondhand store for next.
The pants,
to
the
nothing.
gloves, and the hat, all
Oh,
with
yeah.
the matching steer head. Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that looks like dude who
Texas
couldn't afford.
Longhorns.
That looks like
Thank you,
dude who
Marvin.
couldn't afford to dress himself, or to buy clothing. Yeah. My favorite
Yeah,
part was how
so-
he kept turning and walking a few steps away, and then turned around to yell again. Like
Right.
he loved
He just
that.
needed to have the last word.
He
Absolutely needed it.
he enjoyed what his rage venting.
Yep.
Maybe the dude needs to, I don't know, take up boxing and punch a heavy bag or something and get it out that way.
Yeah. Or just invest the slightest interest in reality. I mean,
But see,
he could go
Rob,
so far.
that kind of makes me that mad, but for entirely different reasons. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how I would have to embrace the humor of the situation if I went up against a guy like that, because that kind of in-your-face anger and like threatening response really does naturally give me oh, if this dude comes, like I'm gonna beat the shit out of this guy if he tries anything.
Click.
Like, and I am
Yeah.
I've never started a fight in my life. The few fights I've been in my life, other people started them, and generally because of that, they were over very quickly. But I still feel that urge to, when that happens, to be like, oh, dude, you start threatening other people who are doing the right thing right now. I'm coming at you. Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Even reality can make you mad like that. I find I just
Yeah.
you got to let
But
it out.
it's
some other
images.
way.
It's sort of video like that have led some social psychiatrists to speculate that to some degree what explains Trumpism is shared psychotic disorder. This guy is just wildly disconnected from reality. in that
Yeah.
moment. Like there is nothing in reality that should be driving that level of rage.
Yeah.
That is, you are in my house with a machete attempting to hack up my family member's level.
Yeah.
That's when that's appropriate.
Yeah.
But there it is over masks.
He's being denied being allowed to be in a store unless he puts
right
1/100th of the fabric he's currently wearing, because the stuff is so baggy, over his face.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
It's rough.
What we would say if I was documenting his mental status exam is his affect was incongruent to the situation.
Okay. I get it.
Incongruent. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that wins Denialist of the Week.
Well
done, Alaska.
Good job. So let's cleanse our palate. We've got a couple of new good stories. One I found and one Rob found. We got another video for you. I'm not even going to introduce
Last
this.
video of the night.
I'm not even going to introduce. Not going to explain what this is. We're just going to watch and enjoy. That's what we're going to do. This is some good stuff.
And I saw a guy there who wasn't wearing a mask. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, are you coming out tonight?" And he said, What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Are you coming to the hole tonight?" And he was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And I was like, "Oh, you're not. Okay, I get it. Sorry. It's just like I'm gay and in our community, we don't wear masks properly to let others know that we're down to hook up." And he put his mask on. That's how we win this game, guys. We got to use the toxic masculinity against them. And I saw
that was glorious.
Yeah, it was great. I don't think I, as a straight guy, could like argue that that's what we should do, but full on, yes. Use that homophobia to save lives this one time, I guess. Damn. It was so great.
That's a real use their force against them kind of martial art move.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's realist of the week right there.
Yeah.
Pragmatic solution to a situation right in front of them. But it's not our best feel-good story of the week.
It's not.
For that, we turn to Japan.
Yeah.
Where a village currently, I guess maybe this is a thing that happens in Japan, but we have a village that's been taken over by monkeys, and a group of retired grandmas, the Monkey Busters, come out with air rifles whenever called upon to repel an invading force, non-lethally, just pain, just a disincentive, get out of our town. And there's some like really great quotes. No matter what they're doing, if laundry or in the middle of preparing a meal, when called upon, they assemble immediately. And the photos are great, especially the pose photo of them all with their airsoft rifles.
I love this. Yeah.
Yeah.
One of them's practicing trigger discipline.
Yep, good trigger discipline, sort of. Yeah.
One of them, the other I'm not. The other one I'm not sure, and the other one looks like no. So it looks like we've got the 3 levels of trigger discipline going on here.
Yeah.
But still, let me bring this a little bigger so we can see it.
Yeah, and we'll let's give you this link too, so that you can all enjoy Busters.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, that's 2 links there that you've selected. But that's fine. Because I found the original Japanese article. That's what I was actually showing.
Ah, okay. Oh, right. Well, okay, both links going in. One from the New York Post and then one from a Japanese newspaper. So that's it for me for this week. It's been interesting. It's getting more interesting out there. We're probably going to have to take a look in the future at things like what's the relationship between COVID denialism, anti-maskism, and Q. That's becoming a really interesting emerging phenomenon that we're probably going to have to take a closer look at, which will probably unfortunately involve what the heck is Q. And
some super interesting
no doubt,
Q news lately. I don't know if you heard it.
Well, I've heard some of it. Yeah. And it's a thing I've been trying to avoid, because it's sort of like, all right, every burner on my stove has a pot, and I just don't have a burner for the Q pot. And there are lots of other people covering it well, but now it's starting to intersect the virus and is responsible for some viral transmission. So it falls into our wheelhouse increasingly. So we might have to dedicate some time to
It
that
also
in the future.
seems to be just spreading. Like it was like as big as it was still fringy, but those fringes were able to gather on the internet and seem like a relative large number. But it is now Trump has been tweeting some Q stuff because
great, that'll help.
Q thinks that Trump is in power to fight the Democrat pedophiles. If you haven't heard of Q, the baby-eating pedophiles.
Baby-eating Satanist pedophiles, which is probably the Luciferian Satanism that our Greek-Australian fellow was referring to. That's my guess.
All the Satanists that I know of from the internet, and do I know any in real life? I know a couple, I guess. They're all mask wearers and take science very seriously.
Yeah.
And also want restaurants to be open and safe. So, and tip well. Better than, say, a tip with a note that says, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the light. No one comes.
Thanks to Satanists, I have a lot more sympathy for the devil than I used to.
Oh, that's our show for this week.
That's it for me.
That's it for me. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week, Sundays at 7. Please remember to spread the word about viral transmissions, not the virus. Have a great night. I hope you all do really, really well in this time of woe. It's a rough world, isn't it? We'll catch you all later, people.
But there's monkey busting grandmas in Japan.
Silver lining.
The world has that too.
Silver lining. There is a grandma Grand Force keeping us safe from monkeys. Bye.